I'm not content with the content. I want more. I'm not content with the content. I want more.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to Hooligan Radio, the podcast that covers video games, movies, true crimes, cryptids, all in one. To my virtual left, I have Zach.
I am here and I'm ready to go.
And to my virtual right, I have Josh.
Hey, I am so excited to talk about the Royal Rumble. We're not talking about that, actually.
Did that happen? Was that recent?
And entering in on the third slot in the Royal Rumble is your probably third favorite host of this podcast, Isaiah. What's going on, guys?
What's
You're my
up?
favorite. You're my favorite host, Isaiah.
Yeah, because fuck Zach.
Yeah, fuck me. The first question on everyone's mind, though, is who won the Royal Rumble?
Ronda Rousey.
Are we actually talking about it? I didn't watch it, to be honest.
I didn't watch it either.
I
Good
think
start.
Seth Rollins won the guys and Becky Lynch won the girls. That's all I know.
All right, so back to news that everyone is here for. Josh, do you have any movie news that you want to start with?
So just one piece of news, since we're going to be talking about a movie pretty in-depth later. One trailer that I thought was interesting came out. It's for this highly hyped Ted Bundy movie that stars Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. It premiered at Sundance this past week, and the trailer for its theatrical release came out. Did you guys watch the trailer, and what did you guys think of it?
I watched the trailer.
Of course I
I'm
did.
scared for the repercussions of this movie, knowing how many people want to sleep with Zac Efron and then will now want to sleep with a Ted Bundy-like character.
But that's the point of the movie.
I completely agree. Does not mean I am not terrified at the outcome.
Yeah, that makes him like the perfect person to play the role, right, Zach?
100%. I saw so much criticism for this movie saying Zac Efron shouldn't be the shouldn't be Ted Bundy because he's too sexy, he's too good looking, but that is what Ted Bundy was. He was the confident serial killer that got women to come solely based off of his looks and his confidence. And Zac Efron's going to portray it perfectly.
Yeah. I've just come to learn that everyone's always going to complain on Twitter about something, so I don't really let it bother me. But but I think it looks pretty interesting.
I am interested. I started trying to watch that other Ted Bundy stuff on Netflix, and I got bored, so I watched Fire Festival
Darn
instead.
it. We'll talk about that later. I was going to bring it up and just stream it, but...
But Zach, one last question on this trailer. Do you know, like, there's a female lead in this that's like Ted Bundy's girlfriend. Do you know what real life person she's supposed to be portraying?
Unfortunately, I do not know the name of the actual person that she's supposed to be portraying, but Ted Bundy had a girlfriend that supposedly a lot of his victims are based off of because they all fit the same scheme. Brown hair, parted down the middle, which is a replica pretty much to his girlfriend at the time.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think it looks interesting. We will see. That movie doesn't have an official release date yet, but we shall see. Isaiah, you want to jump into gaming news?
Yeah, dog. So shit hit the fan over the weekend. So Anthem released a private demo, they were calling it. And the minute it went live, all of the servers crashed and everything fucking sucked for hours. Like half a day, hours, they could not get the game like actually functioning the way they wanted it to.
Could you expect anything less from EA?
It was a private demo. Only people who pre-ordered the game were able to get into the demo. They had an exact number of people that were supposed to be on. And they couldn't commission servers to handle the load of people they know are going to play. And you know what's even more exciting? The open demo is this weekend. So
it's just not gonna
are you ready for EA to shit the bed again?
The saddest part is that it's not even like a small gaming company. It's EA that has these problems. It's the biggest gaming companies in the world.
With multiple money printing machines, they can't get enough servers to handle their new game that is supposed to be a revival of their games that don't suck.
So people were pretty pissed about this?
Yeah, people were wild. I know that there's a lot of people are saying that the actual game is good, but this demo that they've been telling everybody about has been really bad. And I think that the choice in word and calling it a demo versus calling it a beta is kind of the downfall there. Because if you say it's a beta, people kind of think of it as, oh, this is like pre-release stuff. This is stuff that's supposed to, like, they're just trying to iron out these problems. But you go around telling everybody, hey, demo our game. It's demo is closer to finished product. Like, here, play our finished product, see if you like it, and stuff like that. And so a lot of people were like, this is not a good look, Anthem. You are not doing so hot.
Did you get the demo? Did you pre-order it, Isaiah?
No, I didn't pre-order it. I buy all my games digitally, so I don't have to pre-order anything anymore.
Gotcha.
Do these issues make you hesitant about what the game's going to be like at its initial release?
Yes.
This sounds like Destiny all over again.
Well, that's the thing is I have no plans of buying it the first day or even probably the first week. There is no PvP to be worried about. And I know that I'm going to be the person in my friend group who will pioneer playing Anthem. So everybody's going to wait on my word to say if it's good or not. So it's not like there's anybody who's ever going to be ahead of me because nobody wants to buy it before I buy it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be like, all right, everybody wait. All right, I'll go through now. All right, the game sucks. Don't come through. Don't come through. Or, how fucking, yeah, this shit is lit, bro. Come on. And then we'll be fucking partying in Anthem.
Yeah. As much as we've ragged on Anthem, from what I've actually seen from the demo, it looks like a beautiful game. With the exception of not being able to play it for the first couple hours aside, the visuals look beautiful. The actual like mechanics of the game looked really good. They introduced like the 4 different classes you can be, which I thought that was really cool that they allowed everyone to see what they were right off the bat.
Yeah, the thing that's really cool with Anthem is at the beginning of the game, you don't have to play a certain class to unlock another class. You can play all 4 of the classes from the get-go.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. In other gaming news, in a more, I guess, somber note, I'm lit about Anthem doing bad because it's like, I kind of want to get the Division. And I think we're going to do a whole episode on us discussing which game we think we should get.
Just pros and cons on both.
Yeah. But Metroid Prime 4 was doing so poorly in development, they threw the whole thing away and are going to start over again. Are you kidding me? First of all, they show us the title screen at E3 that one year, and everybody was like, a new Metroid game. And then, what, almost 2 years later, they're like, this fucking sucks. Just crumple it up and throw it away. It's just like, what the hell? Are you kidding me?
Jeez, I mean, how does that even happen? Like,
how bad does it have to be that you have to scrap the entirety of the game?
Well, that's the thing. Is like there's two sides of it. It's like A, they really want to get this right, or B, it was really, really bad, and they were like, Jesus Christ. And that's what I'm like, because my most beloved game that I'm going to wait on forever probably is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And they've scrapped that one time already, I'm pretty sure. So I have nowhere to speak because I will wait. I have a game that I will wait for no matter what they do in development with it. And this game, it's like I'm interested in, but I've never played the Metroids beforehand. I've played as Samus in Smash, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. But starting all the way over after years of development, that's a big budget hit. That's going to be brutal.
Yeah, who knows if we'll ever even see that game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Does this mean the N64 Mini might make an earlier release than some thought? They need the money?
Considering the fact that so many people in the last week have told me that they're trying to get a Switch, no. Yeah. The answer is no.
Yeah, quick funny story on that. My nephew turned 2 this past weekend, and we went to Chuck E. Cheese. And my older nephew, who I think you guys know, Gabriel, he's about 10 years old. Mm-hmm. We're all at Chuck E. Cheese, which is like a place for kids, right? They're supposed to have fun. And meanwhile, my nephew Gabriel is just playing his Nintendo Switch at the table at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh yeah, I saw that he got that for Christmas, didn't he?
Yeah. So we end up just playing Smash with his. He has the 2 side controllers, and we just used half and played Smash while we're at Chuck E. Cheese. I'm like, this is this is not why we paid to be here, but this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just such a good console, dude. Like they just tell me that games are coming to the Switch, and it's like it'll be later this year, but it's out for everything else. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just fucking wait because there's no reason to buy it on anything else.
Yeah, I would be surprised if anyone who regularly listens to this podcast hasn't bought a Switch just because we sell it so hard every episode.
Yeah. The best part is right now my Switch is on my computer desk. So I come and I sit in my computer chair and play my Switch in front of my $1,000 computer. Like, what kind of slap in the face is that? But yeah, so Metroid not looking good. Maybe we'll see it in 2020, but probably not. What about you, Zach? You got any of that spooky?
Oh, we're bringing the
Spooky
creepy
boogie
news
news.
this week. So I'm assuming everyone here knows the show Black Mirror on Netflix.
And if you don't, you should stop this episode right now and watch every single episode of Black Mirror, and then tweet at me and tell me you did it because I would love
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll still be here when you come back, so go do that. But University of Washington is actually trying to bring Black Mirror to life. So engineers at the University of Washington are trying to put a small computer screen onto a contact lens that can feed the wearer real-time data. So it'll pretty much be like the exact episode of Black Mirror where you can like check your social media, or like say you're like driving a car and you're using maps. You never truly have to take your eyes off the road then, because it'll be able to direct you just by looking. And it's also like you could just look at a building and get the real-time information you need from it, like date of the building, like what's the name of the building, and just how to get through it. So they're really trying to bring like this futuresque Black Mirror episode that I think at the time they were like, this is years down the line, and what the University of Washington's like, we can do this.
My favorite part about this article is I spent my whole life growing up and my parents being like, don't sit too close to that screen, you're going to go blind. Now they're like, put this screen all the way in your fucking eye, man.
Well, it's like I feel like this is just the next step, the next evolution of Google Glass, and I feel like Google Glass failed pretty hard. Does anyone own Google Glasses? I don't know if they even came out.
Were they
They
actually
didn't come out
released to
for
the public?
retail. No, they
Okay.
came out. Yeah, it was like, I think they released dev kits and then stopped development on it eventually. But yeah, Google Glass didn't do well because a lot of people who would have bought Google Glass, it wouldn't have fit well with their glasses. So,
Well, I thought
that's
they were
true.
supposed to like replace your glasses.
no,
No?
it was like a separate thing. It was like it was like,
Oh.
if you ever
Oh.
seen Ned's Declassified,
Yeah.
yeah, the guy, it was his name Cookie.
Oh,
Cookie, what's
Cookie,
the thing?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Cookie had the
nice.
little thing. It was like that, except the futuristic version. If it was like made for the Jetsons,
His was pretty futuristic though in that show.
that's true.
They need to bring that show back for like the real world after school, because I would watch it.
I
Yeah,
think
like college.
Yeah,
I think
or
that
just
putting
after
a
that.
I think that putting a computer screen in someone's contact lens is the easiest way for me to never do anything at work ever again. I would just have one eye, just like browsing Reddit. Like, this is sick.
And think of like the implications at like a university. Like you're almost guaranteed the ability to cheat on every test from there on out.
Yeah, but if you consider
Yeah.
it this way, are you really cheating? Because that's actually a part of your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and
So yeah,
what are the
ethically,
professors gonna do? Everyone put your contacts in here.
well, yeah, I've had this discussion a million times with a million different people. It's like there's no reason for me to ever have to memorize the things that they told me I need to memorize because I'm gonna Google it anyway in a real world application.
100%.
You know how many times I Google things at my real life job now? I'm a software developer. I Google everything. I Google things that I learned how to do when I was in high school on accident, and I still Google it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's how I do that, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, when I worked IT support, it was just, did you Google the answer? Nope, let me Google the answer for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Here you go.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, so it's like, yes, it would be cheating, but really what it would be is just splitting the gap between people who are rich enough to buy this technology and not rich enough to buy this technology.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all technology becomes affordable eventually, right? I mean, it's all about.
Eventually.
Depends on your definition of affordable. The iPhone was more affordable when it first came out compared to what it is coming out now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it cost when it
First
came out.
iPhone was like,
All I know is it costs like $1,000 fucking dollars now. It didn't cost
Yeah.
$1,000 when it first came out.
all true.
But yeah, you're right. But I was gonna say, but how much could you buy an iPhone 1 for now? $2? Because they don't work.
Because you're buying a brick. All right. So continue on with the creepy news. A man in Australia, in the small town of Victoria, he looks like he actually captured a picture of the extinct Tasmanian tiger, which thought to go extinct around the early 1900s. I believe 1912 or something like that was the exact year, I should say. And there's always been like people coming out saying like, hey, we're still seeing some of these tigers around like the Australian outback, which is where they're from. In like these small remote areas, and that's been going on for years, decades. And this actually looks like a small photo of, it looks like a young Tasmanian tiger. And we'll go ahead and post it onto the Twitter so everybody can see it. But you can see the distinct lines on the back of the Tasmanian tiger, which is what it got its name for. So a lot of people are now like moving to that location to see if they can actually find any more physical evidence that they were there.
At first, I thought this looked like. Have you guys ever seen a picture of like a shaved bear?
No.
Yeah, if you look Google a shaved bear, I thought this is what it looked like. But Zach, you had a good point pointing out you can see the stripes on it. So that's not necessarily something you'd see on a shaved bear. But I think if you Google a shaved bear, at least in the head, in the face, I feel like that's what I first thought it was. But now that you brought up that,
shave the bear? What did the bear do to deserve that?
I don't know. I think some bears
have a million
disease or
animals that
something.
never need to be shaved, dude. Like, have you ever seen a shaved husky? They look scary.
Yeah. But,
I don't know if I don't know if shaved bear's a thing. I bet that bear has like mange or something.
But
I can definitely see the correlation.
We're just Googling shaved animals on our podcast.
This is the content our viewers ask for.
Has he taken? Oh, he said it posted it to social media, but he hasn't like actually. This hasn't been confirmed that it's like not a fake or anything, like a fake picture.
It doesn't look like the photo was modified in any sense from what I've read. But unless you have like the hard physical evidence, like some sort of like whether there was a track there or like some feces that they could have possibly gotten, without that additional hard evidence to back up the picture, it's really hard to like say that this is genuinely a Tasmanian tiger.
But this was a real animal.
Yes, this was a real.
Okay.
Yep. Actually, it looks like the last known Tasmanian tiger died in 1936 in the Hobart Zoo in the United States. Mm-hmm.
So that's a little more believable than saying like, oh, I got a picture of a unicorn. You know, like it's.
Yeah. Like this was at least an animal that was alive at one point in time, but just thought to go extinct.
So do you buy the picture?
I do, but that's just because I love the Tasmanian tiger. That's like what got me into cryptids to start with.
I remember when we did the top 3 list that was on there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well,
what about? Did you hear this creepy conspiracy news that MIT has developed a technology where they can shoot laser beam sound messages into your ears?
I want to know and I'm probably not smart enough for this, but I actually do just want to know like the science behind this, like how that's possible.
I have no idea, but I heard that. Well, I was reading that they can actually do it. So like if you and I were in like a crowded room or bar, I could beam the sound into your ear across the bar and you would hear it. You would hear it loud and clear, like I was speaking directly into your ear.
So it's something
so it doesn't necessarily have to be through the TV.
No. It's not through the TV. What do you mean?
I thought you said that it was through the TV that they can beam the sound through.
No. It's through a laser.
Oh, a laser. Okay.
Yeah, so they can just laser messages into people's ears. Like, could you imagine if you were just walking and suddenly started hearing a voice in your head that wasn't your own, like wasn't your conscious, and was just like, "What's up, motherfucker?" And you're just like, "Holy shit! Holy shit!"
There would be so many different things going on in my head.
Yeah, dude.
Had they given like an example of what they would use this for?
I don't think they've given an example on what they'd use it for. Not that I can remember.
They're just like, hey,
wait,
this is
actually no, they did. The specific example I heard that they're going to that they could use this for is in an active shooter situation, they would be able to beam directly to somebody instructions on what they should do, and that person would be able to hear it, but the active shooter would not be able to hear it.
That's such a complicated situation to
I
start with.
literally am losing my mind that that's the first thing that they were like, this is exactly what we could use it for. Let the military use it or let the police use it. And I'm like,
Well, that's how it always starts.
Hello?
It starts military and then it goes to
hello?
public.
Get
I
out
was
of my
thinking, like,
head.
I was thinking like it being on two separate, like, two airplanes, both in the air, or like two submarines, like that could be used. But I don't know if they could send it through water though. That'd probably fuck it
So
up. But
I found a little bit more information on it. I found an article here. It says that researchers use water vapor in the air to absorb light and to create the sound. So that's what allows them to actually transmit the sound through the laser.
well, there's probably a lot more water vapor out there now, right? The vaping.
Yeah, bro. With
I
all the
didn't know
Vape Nation, bro.
I
Vape
didn't know where we
Nation.
were going with that one. That's
With
why
all
jewels are
the
so
vaping.
popular.
Yeah, they're just gonna vape people's like into people who are vaping. They're just gonna vape into their ear, like, bro, dude, Vape Nation.
What if you could start sending messages in your vapes, like while
okay,
you're
okay, okay.
Oh god. You don't need to give them any ideas.
Nice.
Man, that's crazy though. I couldn't even
Yeah.
imagine like again just the first thing of like, hey, you need to do this. Just God, just
Yeah,
who
well,
is
could you imagine like if you were like fucked up at a bar and suddenly you start hearing a voice in your head and you're like, holy shit, and it's just like telling you to do crazy shit, and you're just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Anybody else? Do you guys hear that? And they're just like, hear what? And you're like, what the fuck?
yeah. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Blowing my mind, dude. No way. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm not mentally strong enough even for the test run of that.
Yeah. I'm about to be wearing earmuffs all the time, bro. No lasers in my ears, bro.
See it, rent it, stream it. See it, rent it, stream it. See it, rent it, stream it. See it, rent it, stream it.
Okay, so I'll start it off because I saw a movie for the first time in the theater in 2019, and that movie was Glass, and it was really, really weird. First, actually, before we talk about Glass, Isaiah, you watched Unbreakable and Split for the first time. What did you think of those?
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Unbreakable, it was like, it was all right. It was just kind of like a generic, it felt generic to me, just the movie in general. Like, oh, this guy's a good guy. This guy's kind of a good guy, but probably a bad guy. I don't know. It was okay. But, dude, Split though? Split was good, man. I thoroughly enjoyed Split.
I would say if you really like specifically James McAvoy's performance in Split, that is the best thing, in my opinion, in Glass. You basically get to see him explore and show off a lot more of the personalities in
Really?
Glass. Yeah, in
Okay.
Split, it's only like 3 or 4 that you get to see mostly.
Yeah.
But in Glass, he does, over a dozen, I would say. You get to see. So I think he said in some interview somewhere that he did all 23, but 20 of them made it into the movie. I don't know if I could spot out all 20. But
Who's your
his-
favorite? Who's your favorite
My favorite?
personality?
Oh, it's Hedwig, the 9-year-old.
Dude,
Chris
no
Everybody,
way.
Nah.
absolutely.
It's all about Barry, dude.
Barry's all right, yeah. But
My
honestly-
favorite is easily the elf goat from the Chronicles of Narnia.
Nice.
that was good. That was really good. But no, the movie itself was really weird. It was kind of really slow, and I don't know. I don't want to say too much in case you want to see it, Isaiah. It wasn't bad or anything. It was, like I said, I really like James McAvoy in it, but it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, so there's a lot of twists and turns in the movie and reveals, and it gets pretty wild. So if you do end up seeing it, definitely let me know what you think of what gets revealed in the movie, because it gets pretty out there. But
Is Anya Taylor-Joy in the movie?
Yes, she is.
Queen.
Yeah, she
She
returns.
killed it also.
But I would say if you liked Split, you'll probably like James McAvoy in this movie as well. I personally probably like Unbreakable the best of the three, but if you liked Split, I think you'll like Glass as well. And then Isaiah, you also watched the Fire documentary, right?
Yeah, I watched the Hulu Fire documentary and it was crazy, dude. So it turns out like they basically go through the whole like lineage of this Billy guy who
So
is the
real
guy
quick, just to be clear, which one did you watch? The
The one
Hulu
on-
or the Netflix?
the one on Hulu.
Hulu. Okay, so this
Okay.
isn't the one I've seen. I didn't see this one. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So they kind of follow this Billy guy, like basically his whole life progression. They like start out the movie and like talking to him and his mom about how like he would sell sharpened crayons or shit like that. Basically just like setting the stage for this guy, like telling everybody that this guy's a con artist. He's always been a con artist and he will always be a con artist. But like it gets like they paid for this interview and they just fucking gank this guy with these questions. Like they're asking him all these questions about his life, and then they like start talking more and more about like the fire festival, and he's like still kind of like full of himself, and he's like, yeah, it was gonna be so cool and all this other kind of stuff. And then like they get down to it and they were like, yeah, so what happened with the housing? And he was like, I can't speak on terms. Like he just like shuts down. You can see it in the documentary. It is insane, dude. It was so good.
I unfortunately haven't seen any of them yet. I will this week, but I'm definitely starting with the Hulu one and then going to the Netflix one first.
Yeah, I was blown away. Like a lot of the times when I watch things on Netflix or Hulu, I like spend time like also like looking at different things on my phone or whatever. But by the end of that documentary, the like last, I would say like at least half an hour, I was just like, this is fucking crazy. And just like staring directly at the screen like, oh my God.
Yeah,
was
it's
really
still
good.
crazy. It's crazy that actually happened in real life.
Yeah.
Like it's still hard to process that. But that kind of reminds me, talking about like the interview like that. It's kind of like the interview they do with Ted Bundy. Not that Billy McFarland is a serial killer, but Zach, what did you think of the Ted Bundy series on Netflix? You've been watching it?
I have been. I'm halfway through. It's only 4 episodes long. So I've seen 2 of them. So far, what I've seen, I've really liked. I think they have a really good balance of Ted Bundy talking about himself, which you discover is a lot of what he actually wants to talk about, and mainly the only thing he wants to talk about when he brings the reporters in. But at the same time, the narrator's going through and explaining what's going on the other side with what he's doing, killings, abductions, and all that, while he's explaining what else is going on in his life. So it's a good mixture of both, so you can see it from both sides of like Ted Bundy's perspective, but also the world's perspective from what's going on in the city.
All right, yeah. I've only seen the first episode myself, so I have yet to really get into it. The first episode kind of was just setting a lot of things up, I felt like. So I'm ready to
Just
jump in and see what it's like.
Yeah, the first one's just really introducing who Ted Bundy is to everyone and getting you caught up on like exactly who the man is.
Yeah, I watched like I would say 3/4 of the first episode and got bored, and then I watched that Fire documentary, and I do not regret because that shit was great.
Well, you got to go back and finish the last 15 minutes of episode 1.
Oh my God. I don't know. I might just end up watching Fire documentary on Netflix once I pull it up, dude.
I would recommend it. All right, you guys ready for the main topic?
Let's do it.
So we're going to be talking about 8th grade. The movie 8th grade, not. I guess we'll
We'll
talk about our
probably
experiences
talk
in
about
8th
our
grade.
own personal experiences in
But-
8th grade.
I saw 8th
God.
grade back in the theater, and I talked about it on this podcast. I just watched it again last week in preparation for this, and I think I liked it even more the second time. You guys both watched it for the first time. What did you guys think overall of 8th grade?
Zach, you've watched it more recently than I have by a week, so I'm gonna let you go first.
There was a lot going on. I have to give it that. It is easily one of the most cringy movies, and I mean cringy just because you've probably been in a lot of the situations that they're explaining it or bringing light to in the film. Like those awkward, like trying to talk to the cool person without trying to sound like a jackass or a nerd, or trying to go to a party that you probably not really invited to go, but you're there. Like those cringeworthy things. The whole time I'm just like, oh, I like feel it, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
So I don't watch a lot of movies, and Josh will probably find this interesting, but out of the last 5 movies I've watched, 2 of them have had that situation where someone is at a party that they would have just like got pity invited to, because that's what also happens in Split with the
Oh, really?
with the girl that I was talking.
Yeah.
But in 8th grade, it's just so brutal. She's
It
just
ends
like,
up it ends up a lot worse in Split though.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a really questionable scene where I was like, this could be pretty bad.
Yeah, we're gonna
But we'll
talk about that
later.
later because I brought that up to Isaiah earlier too.
Yeah, I think the whole like, so this is obviously placed a little bit after when we would have been in middle school because she's like making YouTube videos and stuff. And I think that YouTube was just like emerging whenever we were in 8th grade. It was like shoes was the video on YouTube.
Yeah.
People didn't really vlog,
Yeah.
or we weren't really aware of people who vlogged. And but man, that was brutal. She's just like, I'm not the quiet girl that everybody thinks I am at school. And then like the whole time she's at school, she just doesn't even talk. And I'm just like,
Yeah. So before we go, and we're going to go deep into spoilers, so for whatever reason you haven't seen 8th grade, go watch it before listening to the rest of this podcast. But overall, if you guys had to, give it a rating or recommendation or just overall thoughts of the movie, what would you say to someone who hasn't seen it?
I guess I'll start with a rating. I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it a solid weird 8th graders out of 10.
Yeah. I have so many questions about this movie for you guys. I'm just so curious.
Wait. Before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to my boy Gabe. He liked our tweet on that one tweet where we said we were going to review it. That's my boy, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Gabe is the awkward cousin
of the
popular girl in the movie. And she's the one that buys all the chicken nuggets at the end for him and his date with her.
So my first question for you guys, Zach, you kind of already alluded to it, but what moment in the movie was the moment for you guys where you like cringed the hardest? Like moment where you couldn't even like watch it?
All right, so I guess there's 2 moments. I guess the cringiest moment for me would have been the actual pool party scene, like the entirety of that, because that's like the pity, like you're invited to the pool party because your dad knows my mom. In no other circumstance would I ever talk to you, but because of that, you're invited. And it's just like she's not talking to anybody. She's just sitting there like awkwardly in the background the whole entire time. She's on her phone. And one scene, she's even in a whole nother room. And then the boy that she really likes comes in and asks like what she's doing. And I thought that was one of the most cringiest moments.
I think that my most cringiest moment is whenever she's like hanging out with those high schoolers and her dad is just fucking creeping on them. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah. They're like, as soon as they were like, who's that old guy staring at us? I already knew. I'm like, it's going to be her fucking dad. And she turns around at him. And I love how when he like tries to make it up to her, he just like gives her $20. So he's like, I'm going to leave.
Like, buy something, I'm going to leave.
Yeah. But Zach, what you were saying about the pool party, especially during that scene where the popular girl Kennedy is like opening the presents and she gets to Kayla's present and like it's just some game or whatever and like everyone is just silent and it's so awkward. Like that to me was so relatable because it's like when you're at somewhere where you're not friends with anybody there and you have to like try to explain yourself to them.
I think
that was brutal.
I think that scene also like made me realize where my place was in 8th grade because like she opened that gift, I was like, that sounds pretty fucking cool. Like I would want that.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like, this is dumb. I'm just like, I would have been her friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely would have been Gabe in the pool, just the cousin that doesn't know anybody there, just doing handstands in the pool.
Yeah, holding breath contests.
But what about the scene where I'm trying to think of the scene where
there's a scene me and Isaiah need to talk about really quick because it was a little bit concerning for the both of us. We talked about it when you stepped out for a second before the podcast started. But the scene when she is in the car on the way home
with the high schoolers.
Yeah, where the guy
Yeah.
was like essentially trying to hook up with her in 8th grade. At that moment, I had to pause the film and check the rating because I was like, am I literally about to like almost like witness this girl like possibly get raped? Like I had to check and I was like, God, it's R. There's a slim chance.
Yeah. For me, it was like the minute that the I don't remember what the girl's name was, but
Kayla.
the other girl. No,
Oh
the
no,
other girl.
Kayla's no.
Oh yeah, I don't remember, but yeah,
The
the high
older
schooler.
girl that she was friends with, yeah, where she's like,
Olivia,
oh,
it might have been Olivia.
I think
yeah,
you're
where
right.
they have the exchange where she's like, no, it's fine, like you can just drop me off last or whatever, and I was like, no, absolutely not. This is not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. And from like a movie standpoint, I thought it went just far enough. Like it didn't go
Oh
all the
yeah,
way. You know
Oh
what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
Like
absolutely.
it went just far enough to show like even though nothing ended up actually happening, it still
Yeah.
traumatized her that this
It sh-
happened. You know.
It shows that peer pressure that you can get in that circumstance to like try to do something sexual at that young age.
Hmm.
Yeah, my thing is like I think that it was that like those scenes were handled so beautifully. Like the part after where she's like like she tries to apologize to him, I'm like, oh my god, like Jesus Christ,
Yeah, and
though.
Yeah.
Just
he's like
fucking
such a
kill me.
yeah, he's like
Yeah.
such a dick, and he's like, I'm just trying to help you out because you're gonna, hook up with some guy and you're gonna suck and be embarrassed. I'm like, what a fucking dick, dude.
Yeah, right? It's
Yeah.
just like it's so perfect.
But then you
It's
think, and it's
so
just like, how
perfectly
many
written.
times did that happen?
Like, oh my God. It was just perfectly written and perfectly executed. And I was just like, this is incredibly bad, but also some of the best cinematography I've
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah. And the scene I was going to bring up actually takes place just shortly after that, where she asks her dad to have a fire in the backyard, and then she throws her 6th grade time capsule in the fire, and her dad's like, "Oh, what's in there?" And she's like, "Just all my hopes and dreams." I'm like, "That's
Yeah,
me."
I was like, you're so angsty.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
The whole entire time during that, I was just like, she would have been like someone that hung out in our group. Because if you don't know, we've all been friends for a really long time. And I felt like she would have been a part of our group because that was us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She would have been it would have either she would have been friends with us or it would have been somebody that I would have been like, Zach, we should probably be friends with that person. And then we would never talk to her because we were too awkward to try to talk to the people that we thought belonged in our friend group.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how about in that same scene, her dad giving her that amazing speech in that scene? I felt bad for her dad, like the whole movie. Like he's just a single dad trying his best. He's never a dick, and she's just like rude to him basically the entire movie.
I
Yeah.
had Lissa watch it afterwards because I was like, I need a second opinion on this. And like afterwards, she's just like, she used 50-50 on the movie to get that off the back, but she was just like, Kayla was just an ass to her dad the entire movie. And I was just like, yeah. She was like, if that was like any other household, just imagine like the dad going off on her during the movie for something she did.
Well, that's what my girlfriend said too. She was like at the one of the beginning scenes, the dinner scene where she's like listening to the music and her
Yeah.
dad's like trying to talk to her. And my girlfriend Haley was like, if I did that to my mom, she would smack the headphones out of my
Yeah.
head. But it's like, he's a single dad. Like he's just trying his best. It's his only child in the movie. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. So I just felt so bad for him the whole time. But they have that nice scene at the end by the fire where he tells her how much he loves her and she hugs him and everything. So at least works out there. But Isaiah, you kind of brought up her vlogs. I thought from a filmmaking standpoint, from Bo Burnham directing it, it was really cool how it's like it would show her making a video about something, and like the point of her channel was like to give advice, right? But she would give advice on something in her video, and then at the same time it would show a scene where she's struggling to do that same thing that she's trying to give advice on. And I thought it was such a great like commentary on how like online we all try to act like know what we're doing, when in reality none of us know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of the film.
Yeah, and I think that another really big scene is like when she makes that last vlog where she's like, I don't know, I've just never fucking worked for me, basically is what she says. She like makes that final vlog and she's like, I'm done with this. She's like, I've been basically lying to you guys. I don't know. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then one thing I really liked in the movie too was the music in the movie, the score, kind of like that techno like music in there. Did you guys like that?
Yeah, I think that the score definitely was a great accent piece. I couldn't tell you I couldn't like remember any of it specifically, but yeah, I definitely remember being like this kind of bops.
Mhm.
Or how about the scene where the school shooting drill scene where they're all
Oh,
up in the
Oh my
hallway
god.
and the principal's just wearing a ski mask and he's like bang bang
If
bang bang.
if my principal would have done the same thing, I would have lost. Like kudos to those kids for holding up.
That's like one of those things where it's like we didn't have to go through that, in middle school, like how much it's changed, just in the past like 10 years or so, because we would have never had a school shooting drill, you know what I mean?
But their school's shooting drill was their principal coming in full SWAT gear with like an assault rifle.
But I just love the
Or do you love the part where he gets the theater kids to work along with it, so he shoots them and then they like
Yeah.
fall down or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love his lack of enthusiasm. Like it's just like bang 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 bang, and none of the students care. They're all just. It's like how we acted during like fire and tornado drills. Like we don't care, We're just trying to get on with our day.
Yeah, we're out of class. That's all we care about.
We're just talking about Call of Duty, and they're like, "You guys got to be quiet," and they're like, "Yo, you don't understand. I got a tactical nuke last night." No, dude, I think the scene where they eat the chicken nuggets, though, man, I was like, "This is the fucking greatest thing. I love this sweet release."
Yeah.
It's like the one good thing that happens to her in the movie, like meeting Olivia and then hanging out with Sauce Boy, like the two good things that happen to her, where she has a good time and nothing goes wrong.
I loved how awkward their conversation was, though. I was like, "This is so cute. Kill me."
And Gabe leaves the archery certificate on the table, and he's like, "Oh, what's
Yeah,
this? I left this out. Oh, this is stupid." And she's like, "Cool."
I'm gonna pull that move on my next date,
Oh,
Doug.
Yeah.
Or he's like, I got 2 of every sauce. If you want one of mine, I like them all equally.
Just the fucking man, dude.
We love you, Gabe.
He's the fucking played so well. Oh my god. But oh, dude. And then it was like back to where like with the high schoolers, we're just jumping all around this movie.
Yeah, there's no like order to this, but it's good.
Yeah. But when they're like sitting in the mall, like in the food court, just at the mall, and I was like, holy shit, that's us.
Yeah, that's
They're all like yelling at each other the whole time.
Yeah, just like sitting at the table, just yelling about random stuff. And I was like, we did that a lot of times.
yeah.
Yeah, usually for us it was like at a Taco Bell, but I guess we went to the mall sometimes too. But yeah, just all yelling over like dumb shit that does not matter at all.
So I'm looking back at that now. Those teenagers at least had to be old enough to be able to drive a car.
Yeah,
And
Well, I
they're
think they
hanging
were
out
all
with an
seniors.
8th grader. And they're
I think they were all seniors. Yeah, that because Olivia was a senior that she was shadowing, so I just assumed
That's
that
what
the
I
rest
thought.
of them were seniors. Yeah.
So it's a group of 4 seniors hanging out with an 8th grader.
Well,
Yeah.
because I think it was because like Olivia was trying to be nice, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Come out with my friends," and then she was in front of her friends. She was like, "Oh, it's kind of like when you bring her along like your younger sibling. It's like, oh, they're cool, like they're just gonna hang out, whatever." And
But that makes the car scene even worse to me now, because I'm just like,
yeah,
you're a fucking pedophile, kid.
yeah, he's like
Zach, but,
17,
like-
18 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how many guys in our senior class would have dated multiple 8th graders whenever we were seniors. There was a lot of them. It's not a not common occurrence. You know what I mean? Like this happens.
Man.
But he wasn't even trying to date her. That's one thing. At least you're
Yeah,
putting it
yeah.
out there
Yeah.
publicly. He's just trying to have sex with her in the back of his car.
Brutal,
man.
dude. I don't know, man. It just made me. It just throws it back because what was that, Josh? You had that one birthday party I came to. Was that when you were in 8th grade, or was I in 8th grade?
Was it which one when I lived in Westlake or which
Yeah,
one?
when you lived in Westlake.
I think I was in 6th grade, so you would have been the summer after 6th. You were going into 8th grade at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
but I know what party you're talking about. Yeah, very relatable to the movie. That
Yeah, exactly. At that party, I was like, I don't know any of these other Josh friends. I think I knew who. Joey. I think Joey was
I don't
there.
even know if he was there. Yeah, but,
But I made it work, dog. I pulled it out. I met
Did
some
better
new
than
people.
Kayla?
They were all right.
Well, I love the one thing which obviously none of us can relate to is like obviously this is from a girl's perspective. I love in the interviews with Bo Burnham, he always talks about when he was first going to middle schools to try to meet kids to see what their lives were like, and everyone always asks him, "Why did you choose to do a girl when you were obviously a boy growing up?" And he's like, "Well, I talked to all the girls and they were like, had all these problems, anxiety, depression, and then I talked to the boys and they just all talked about Fortnite. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make the movie about a girl."
I didn't know that he did interviews about the movie. I'll check it out. That's so funny. Oh
Yeah.
man.
I
I mean,
because
that's
I think
exactly how it would be though. If you
yeah.
had asked 8th grade me about what was going on in 8th grade, I'd be like, well, Zach and I go home and we play Call of Duty, and
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, or we play Halo, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
yeah,
If
we're
it was
oblivious to everything.
if it was about a boy, it would have to be like the earliest of like junior year or senior year. Because anytime before that, you're just like basically
Oblivious
11.
to everything, exactly like
Yeah.
Zach said. We just had no idea what was going on. We were just there.
Exactly.
Brutal, dude. Oh man, what a good
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So
So really good movie.
The real question is, if you had to get a movie, if you had to pick a grade to get a movie based on, what grade would it be for you?
If I had to give it a grade.
No, like
Oh,
so,
if
like
you had to
eighth
pick a
grade was
grade.
for Kayla. Like, if you look at your high school,
Oh.
middle school, like which one would be the weirdest, like, and the most cringy, how it was for Kayla in 8th grade?
I think probably like sophomore year for me, because that's when I started hanging out with like you guys, Zach. I knew Isaiah obviously, but like sophomore year is like when I started hanging out with you, and it kind of like expanded my friend group. So for me, it was like that's when I started having interactions with people that I did not know at all. So that's where I encountered the most like awkward situations. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say 10th grade for me. What about you?
For me, the most awkward was probably 10th grade, because I just still had no idea what was going on. I was just in the background the entire time, and then
Oh
your
yeah, I
sophomore
remember
year,
that.
my junior year, which would have been 11th grade for me, that one would have been like, all right, I just stopped caring about what people cared about, and then that's when we did what we did.
Yeah, so background on those who don't know us, Zach and I have been religiously hanging out since what? 10th grade, 9th grade?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We've known
Probably
each other
10th
since
grade
4th
for
or 5th grade, probably.
yeah, 10th grade's like when we really hit it off.
Yeah, so my 10th grade experience was just like hanging out with Zach and breaking him out of a shell that he used to be in. And then in 11th grade, we were just like, let's hang out with these other people that I know from a different city because Zach could drive and I couldn't drive. Uh, but if I had to pick a grade that I think was my most awkward, I would say probably 8th grade. But if I had to pick the grade that I think would make the best movie, would totally be 9th grade. I was the
Yeah.
shit in 9th grade. I got pictures on my Facebook from when I was in 9th grade, and I was one cool ass motherfucker.
I'm gonna go back and look at all of these.
But yeah,
That's pretty
dude,
great.
whew.
It is.
Yeah, I think really any year of my schooling from probably around 6th grade up through senior year, you could probably pick out a few moments and put them in a movie and make it seem really cringy. So
Absolutely.
that's basically what this movie was. But yeah, that's about. If you've listened to this whole thing, hopefully you've seen 8th grade. But if you haven't, absolutely check it out. Hey, did you guys ever expect anything like this from Bo Burnham?
I
Dude,
did not,
I
especially
remember-
his first movie. I did not expect like this high of caliber, in my opinion.
I remember first watching like Bo Burnham's YouTube videos way back in the day, and I was like, this guy's hilarious. And then I think we've spoke on it before that we went and we saw him whenever he was in BG, all
Mhm.
of us, and that was crazy for me because I was like, oh my god, this YouTuber is touring. That's crazy. And then it's just been a progression for him. But for me, it's just like occasionally I check in with Bo and he's doing something even more crazy than the last time. So like seeing that he like made this movie, I was like, holy shit. That guy used to just make YouTube videos with a piano in his attic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That's
were
pretty wild.
really funny.
The last
Yeah.
thing I have to say for like halfway through the movie, I thought Kayla's dad was like somehow related to Bo Burnham in real life. They just look so similar to me. I finally had to check.
Yeah, and you came up with
Not related.
Not related.
Not related at all.
Not related. Yeah, dude. 8th grade though. I think what? How long, dude? Oh, man, that was a long time ago. So what?
Yeah.
It'd be like 2007 for you guys, right? Because it was 2008 for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been over
Fucking
10
old.
years. All right. I think we have to do it. Do you remember any stories from 8th grade that you could tell that you think would be cringy right now?
Man,
Um,
I need a second.
yeah,
Okay.
that's tough. One that I'll tell just off the top of my head, my go-to 8th grade story. Not necessarily cringy like a pool party scene cringy, but I was friends with, you guys know, Jordan and Alex, and we had a study hall together and then lunch right afterwards. And when we were walking through the lunch, it was always like a rule at our middle school that you could not cut through the library, because the library was right in the middle of our school. So it, like, you could cut through it to make it easier, but so they made it like you're not allowed, right? So we're going to lunch one day, and Jordan's like, "No, it'll be fine. Let's just go. It'll be fine." So we're walking through the library, and you know me, I'm like a pussy, so we're walking through the library. They're like halfway through, and the librarian just goes, "Hey, stop!" So I stop, but Jordan and Alex both just sprint through the rest of the library. So I'm like, and the teacher's like, "Hey, I know them. That's Jordan and Alex." And they just run through the library, and I get stuck with a detention. Nothing happens to them.
She knew who they were.
Yeah, so that was my cringy. Not really a cringy moment, but that's always the one thing that sticks out to me is like, the worst.
Man.
I think I have 2 pretty good 8th grade stories. So when I was in 8th grade, one of my best friends was dating this girl. Her name was Marissa. And we were like walking down the hall. It was like me, my friend Tyler, and Marissa. And for some reason, when we were in middle school, there was this thing called like ass slap day or Wednesday. I don't remember what it was. So like
That wouldn't
Tyler.
fly now. That would not fly
No,
today.
it would never. It didn't fly then.
I'm pretty sure it was like a made-up holiday just specifically for our middle school.
Yeah. So Tyler slaps Marissa's ass, and the teacher like walks out and like witnesses it happen, and now I am just boom placed right in the middle. So I had to go to the office, and I had to give like my witness account of what happened in the hallway. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. If I say anything, I'm gonna send my best friend to like out of school suspension."
You should have just been like, played it cool, like, "Hey, it's ass slap day. I don't understand
Yeah.
the problem."
And it was just like I didn't know what to do. It was so weird too, because like at that point in time I had a crush on Marissa, so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna send this motherfucker away for life." It was a brutal time. And then the other 8th grade story that I have was when I think when we were in 8th grade, it might have been 7th grade. That show Yo Mama was big on television.
Oh man, I remember that show.
And at lunch, I sat at this table because I didn't really have any people that I like really was friends with, like that Tyler kid I was talking about. We weren't in the same lunch or anything like that. So I sat at this table with a bunch of guys who just were like talked about video games or whatever, and we all started telling Yo Mama jokes. And I told this kid a Yo Mama joke, and I couldn't even tell you what the joke is, but the kid just like stood up and slapped me. And like our lunch monitor was like, "What's going on over there?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know. I was just like, I thought we were all just fooling around." And like, so we get sent to the office or whatever, and I got a detention, and my dad flipped out, and I was like, "I didn't even do anything. I got slapped.
Yeah,
What is
I
this?"
I was playing the game.
Yeah, I was like, "I got played, bro," and he got. I think he got 2 detentions, and I got 1 detention, and I was like, "Bro, what?" And my detention was like for saying bad things about someone's mom. And I was like, "Yo, we all did that shit."
Well, I was gonna say, maybe your dad was angry, not the detention. Maybe the joke just wasn't good. He was disappointed.
Yeah, that was probably it.
Man.
Zach, did you think of one?
Yeah, I think the most cringiest thing I remember one time we were in math class and it was just a bunch of us and there was this one girl named Alex and she was, for whatever reason, she was just acting like really goofy or whatever, and I was just like, man, you just seem really high right now. And for whatever reason, I thought I said the word high, but everyone else thought I said hot. And for like the longest time after that, it was just every day, just like, hey Zach, remember when you said that she was hot? I'm just like, come on. Couldn't let it down.
Coming back.
Yeah.
You gotta shoot your shot though.
Yeah,
So I
man.
didn't even want to shoot the shot.
I want to shoot the shot.
You're like, I want to take back the shot.
So funny.
Yeah, just how do I take it back?
That's pretty great. So let us know, everyone listening out there. Let us know what your cringiest 8th grade moments were. I would love to. I would love to
know
get some
what these are.
But yeah, Isaiah, you want to take us out? Thank some people.
Yeah, I'll take us out. Hardcore style. All right. We'd like to thank American Spirits for the use of their song Blanket Forts that we put at the beginning and end of our podcast. You can find us at Hooligan_radio on Twitter, Hooligan.radio on Instagram, and on YouTube. You can find us there with clips and episodes, and who knows, maybe we'll even shoot a skit one day.
Hey, I just remembered we never brought this up. We did a Twitter poll. I
Oh,
talked about
yeah.
it before the episode, but I never brought it up. So we did a poll asking after our last episode if you guys thought Hitler actually did escape Germany after World War II, and 42% of you said he definitely did. 33% said maybe, and 25% said no way. So Zach, a great job convincing 42% of our audience.
I failed our listeners.
I'm
That
telling
needed
you,
to be at least high.
if you have
8%
Hulu,
higher.
watch Hunting Hitler, and you will have to change your vote in our poll, even though you definitely can't because it's probably closed by now. But
It's
watch
close.
that show.
Damn.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you can find me at PHP_Islaya on Twitter, Instagram, same thing. I'm on YouTube with Softcore Gaming. We haven't been able to put anything new up because each of us have been sick. So that'll happen eventually. What about you, Josh? Where can they find you?
You can find me at Twitter at _Joshua Singh_ on my YouTube channel. I just uploaded my first time watching Rocky V and Rocky Balboa, and I was talking to Zach about this before we started. I'm starting my new Pokemon series, and the other day I watched Pokemon the first movie, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to be very excited for this upcoming series. So you can subscribe to me on YouTube at Joshua Singh, and that's it.
And
What about you, Zach? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ZachC_I_know_it.
Did you make that Instagram yet?
Still working on the Instagram. It's a hard process.
Still working on the Instagram. It's a really hard process. It's got 4 boxes of a form, and you just got to put in information. And guess what? If you have a Facebook, you only got to click one button. Wild.
I'm not content with the